you quiet. Oh, yunting pile of puggies. You like this a little? Yeah. Do you want some neighbors? No. You just want to lay down and lay asleep? Yeah. Okay. Kaiba the pug is a little KO'd from our early morning trip out. And do 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 do. Morning, magic players and card collectors of all kinds. Welcome back to the channel and happy Canada Day to you all. I have uh, an interesting video I would like to do today. Not a overly long one, hopefully, but just something that I wanted to discuss with you guys as an extra little thing on this beautiful holiday. Plus, I'm doing like the majority of the recording for the rest of the week today. Trying to get out of the way, not so much because I don't enjoy recording throughout my days, but because I'm pretty sure my dad's going to be back tomorrow, if not the next day for sure. And I just don't foresee me having ready ability to record things necessarily. So aside from Saturday's video, which we will be doing the first ever pulling of the random commander for the Commander Core Creator Challenge. So I'm not doing that today because I don't think it would be fair for me to have a head start on that. So that will be recorded Saturday, probably just with my phone, but still, it will be recorded on Saturday. And we'll all have an even chance to have 21 days to put together our decks, and then I have a week after that to put together the video for you guys for the final Saturday of the month. So that is the plan. But aside from that, I am doing. I've already posted the Dollarama Draws of Destiny, and I'm going to be doing new set versus old set next. And I've already done the Jumpstart Your Days for the week just to get all the stuff done. Plus, we got some cool Puggy content coming out this week too. I've been kind of lacking on making the Puggy content for our puppy fans that join the channel mostly for that stuff. So I've got a nice little park trip video for you guys for later in the week, plus a cute little Kaiba battling his treat video that I'm working on putting together as well. Um, Shout out in the comments if you guys are at all good with like techie stuff and video editing. I'm wondering if there's a way to remove the audio from something and put in a different audio over top of it. I assume there's gotta be because there's all kinds of crazy stuff that you can do with videos and stuff, but I'm not super good at any of that nonsense, so I'm gonna try and figure it out on my own, but if not, if anybody has any tips, I'm using CapCut for most of my video editing, so whenever I actually do edit a video, that's where I'm doing it. I'm pretty sure there's got to be something I can do there. But anyways, I'm rambling, and I'm ignoring the topic of today. The topic of today is actually the something that I really don't have a lot of a fight in per se. I just want to make sure that this still records as I am looking. Okay, yes, because I'm going to be flipping back and forth between um, my recording software and my computer. because I thought this was an interesting thing to discuss. And what is that interesting thing? Hold on, don't get nauseous, guys. It is the banned and restricted announcement that came out yesterday. Basically, almost everything was left alone except for Alchemy, which also had the same card removed that I'm going to be mainly looking at today. And Historic got Counterspell unbanned, which is interesting. I didn't even realize it was banned in Historic, but hmm. I have no idea what Tibalt's Trickery is, so... Or is that the... I'm not sure. That might be the weird enchantment that I actually like that's blue-black, but I haven't been able to fin to a deck yet. Anyways, is this still recording my volume? Hopefully it is. I don't bumped it. Okay, good. Awesome. Always good to double check all our stuff. So, yesterday, the main things that were banned were all hit in standard, which is kind of funny because the last ban, which happened in December, hit everything but standard, it seemed. So this time, we got Cori Steel Cutter being banned, we got Abuelo's Awakening, Monstrous Rage, Heartfire Hero, Up the Beanstalk, Hopeless Nightmare, and this town ain't big enough. So I think if you just scroll over them, they appear. Yes. So we got our Cori Steel Cutter here. Just take a look at each of the cards and what they do. It's an equipment, gives +1/+1, has trample and haste, and whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you get to create a 1/1 monk and equip this thing with it. And those monks all have prowess, which means they're all getting +1/+1 whenever a spell is cast, in addition to the boost that they get from this thing, which is pretty crazy. Abuelo's Awakening. Return target artifact or non-aura enchantment from your graveyard to the battlefield with X additional +1/+1 counters on it. Damn. It's a 1/1 spirit with flying in addition to its other types. I've never even heard of this card. That would have been an amazing card for my spirit build that I recently did. But I didn't even know that that existed. Monstrous Rage. Target creature gets +2/+0 until end turn. Create a monster rule token attached to it, which just basically gives it +1/+1 and trample. So, I mean, basically you're giving it +3/+1 for one turn. And trample, that's not so terrible. I don't know why that one's banned necessarily. But sure. Heartfire Hero, if it will load up. The Beanstalk. There we go. Heartfire Hero. That one's from Bloomburrow. I remember this one. It's cute. 1/1 mouse with Valiant. Whenever it becomes the target of a spell or ability for the first time each turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. And when it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. So, I mean, that one is, again, like, sure, I can see how it can become OP if you're doing multiple extra turns or something, but I do realize standard's a two-player thing, but still, I mean, by turn 10, most games are over anyways, so I don't think this thing's that bad, but who knows? I don't play standard. This is the first thing I must make a note of while I'm making this video. I do not play standard, so I don't technically have a dog in this fight, but I do have an interesting um, vantage point from which I want to make this video and see what other people think about what I'm about to say. Anyways, up to Beanstalk, when this thing enters the battlefield, and whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, you draw a card. I understand why people banned that one. It's been complained about for a while. Hopeless Nightmare. This one is one that I didn't even know what it was when it first was announced. Enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life. When this thing is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, scry 2. And you can pay 2 and a black to sacrifice it. I mean, that's not horrible. It's an enchantment, so you're gonna have a harder time recurring it back to the battlefield than, say, a creature, but I mean, I don't see what that's so bad. And finally, this town ain't big enough is a 4 and a blue for an enchantment, which costs 3 less if it targets a permanent you control. Return up to two target non-land permanents to their owner's hands. So, I mean, as long as you pick one permanent of yours, in theory, you can return somebody else's permanent too for 1 and a blue, which isn't terrible. Again, like, I mean, I don't play standards, so I can't really judge in terms of speed and such as to how some of these cards affect the game. Um, which is why I'm not going to go over whether I think it's fair to ban them or not ban them in the game. Um, if it actually is beneficial to standard to have them banned. Typically, if you've been a fan of this channel for a while, you know that I'm actually very much opposed to bans in general. But I mean, if it makes the community better, less toxic kind of place where people don't feel oppressed or whatever you would want to put in terms of an adjective on that, then I'm for it in that case. But what I find interesting and what I want to get to, but I am going to do a couple pack openings as I get to it too, is I find it interesting the timing of the banning on Cori Steel Cutter in particular. And I wanted to discuss that in terms of um, just in terms of timing on bannings for some cards versus other cards. And so before I introduce the main subjects of today's discussion, let's introduce a couple packs. Um, I haven't decided whether I want to do two or three, depends on how long I ramble, but we're going to be opening some more Unfinity today. I just felt that it kind of made sense to open Unfinity because Unfinity has a bunch of cards that you can't play legally in the game, even in Commander. So they're kind of just weird cards that got printed and can only be played if your pod agrees to let you play illegal cards. Otherwise, they're fun little collector pieces, but they do nothing. So, I mean, on one hand, buying this set is kind of weird because you don't get a lot of benefits out of it. On the other hand, I've heard that even in draft boosters, apparently you can get the actual shocklands, which is pretty cool. I didn't think that they were in the draft boosters. I thought they were only going to be in the collector boosters, but if they're in here, they're in here, and I would be excited to pull one of those. So yeah, I thought that this just felt really on flavor. I was thinking about opening Brothers War or something else, but because I've been opening this a couple times lately on the channel, but this just felt on flavor for the video that we're doing today. So, like I say, I'm going to open one pack now. I might open one or two more packs later on in the channel, in the video. So make sure you listen to the whole argument. Don't just drop out because there's not any cool content. Kaiba's also come back into the room. He's sitting over on the couch, so I will get you a couple shots of him in a bit. But in the meantime, let's start with our pack. First pack. We got ourselves a line cutter. When it enters the battlefield, you roll to visit your attractions, which is pretty good. I do like that. We got a seasoned buttoneer. Whenever this thing enters the battlefield, you open an attraction. That one's not so bad. I like the black one better, though. I'm going to keep that one up there. I know normally I pile them into Acorn versus non-Acorn and then Legendaries over here, but I'm actually going to keep out a separate pile today of the really good stuff that I can actually play. And by really good, I mean the stuff that's actually going to work really well in some of the Unfinity decks I want to build. So, for example, he's going to be really good in my Gamer deck that I want to eventually build. We got another Incarcerate robot, which is fun. I do like him. Incarcerate! Uh, Wolf's Advantage. Another Acorn. Creatures you control get +2/+0 and gain Alpha Strike. Okay, we pulled that the other day. Alpha Strike is weird. Alpha Strike means you get first strike as long as it's blocking or being blocked by a creature that comes after it alphabetically. So, for example, if in this card's case, it's always going to have Alpha Strike unless it's being blocked by a creature that has another AA start. I don't think there's a lot of creatures that have AA as the starting for their names. Ticket Tomaton. When it enters the battlefield, you get a ticket, then you may put a sticker on a non-land permanent you own. It's a 2/2 for 3. It's not bad. Not bad at all. Grabby Tabby has vigilance as long as you control a stickered permanent. It's a 4/3 for 4. It's alright. Blankety blank blank Trespasser. That's the first time I've ever actually seen one with triple blank. I don't know whether that means you can actually put 3 different name stickers on it. That'd be kind of cool. When this creature enters the battlefield, you can put a name sticker on it. Yeah. This creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each name sticker on it. It can't be blocked this turn. Huh. I'm guessing you can. So that'd be really neat. You could put multiple name stickers on one. And that's actually legal? That's actually a legal card. Okay, I'll put you to the top. You could be fun. Ballerina. Or I guess that should be more like a sheep. Ballerina. 3/3 flying chic performer. When it enters the battlefield, you put a name sticker on a non-land permanent you own. And then you can pay 2 and a blue, and another target creature with a name sticker on it gains flying until end of turn. So I mean that just goes really well with that one. It's cute that they follow each other in the pack. Trigger happy. An instant that says choose a triggered ability of target permanent triggers. You control that ability. Huh. Okay, so if somebody else has a planeswalker out and I want to use their planeswalker ability, it triggers and I control what happens as a result? That's interesting. That's very interesting. I wish that wasn't an acorn. I wish this wasn't an acorn too. This looks cool. Omnic Clown Colossus. 8 and 2 red for 7/7 that has affinity for clowns, so it costs less if you have a bunch of clowns out. And it has trample. And on the other side, it has Pyroclasm. 3 and 2 red for a sorcery that deals equal damage to each non-clown creature. Oh, deals pi damage. That's ridiculous. How to calculate pi isn't important. It's a smidgen more than 3. It's a smidgen more than 3. For the record, pi is 3.141526, I think 93? I always get stuck after the first 6. Either way, that's a really funny card. I would play that in a deck if I could. Hallowed Fountain! My goodness! Pulled one! It's not necessarily the one I want, but it is a Shockland, ladies and gentlemen. Hollow Fountain. Enters the battlefield, you may pay 2 life, otherwise it enters tapped. It is not a shiny one, but it is still probably worth a bunch. You go over here, my friend. Nice, safe zone there. Because I did not bring sleeves or plastic down. I honestly did not expect to pull one. I heard about them being possibly in the packs the other day from MTG Rips. Make sure you check out his shorts. He is doing awesome. He's on his way to 2,000 subscribers. And if he gets there, he's going to be opening a really cool collector booster. So tune in. MTG Rips. I might try to figure out a way to link his channel on the bottom of this one, just as a shout out. I love that guy. He's funny. Anyways, Clown Extruder. That's a new attraction for me. Great. And it creates 1/1 white clown robot artifact creature tokens whenever you visit. Nice. Trash bin. I can't remember if I have that one or not. Return a card at random from your graveyard to your hand. Mill 2 cards to do it. I don't think I do. I think I might be okay. That might be a new one. Icing Manipulator. Acorn. Damn. Green and 1 for a 1/3. Each +1/+1 counter on a creature you control is also a food token. Oh, that is cool. That is really cool. Pay 3 to green, tap, roll 2 6-sided dice. For each odd result, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature of your choice. Nice. That is cool. I like that a lot. We got ourselves a really cool clown robot token, and I'm pretty sure that's a new sticker sheet. Familiar, beable, mascot. I don't remember any of those. Whenever this creature attacks, untap target permanent. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, creatures can go to it +1/+. I think this is a new one. I think we did good today, ladies and gentlemen, on our first polls. Definitely going to keep the hollowed fountain right there. It's a beautiful, beautiful hit. If my phone was not acting as the camera right now, I would Google and find out how much that was worth, because I think I should probably be putting that into some sort of plastic sleeve. It's probably at least a $20 card, even in a non-hollow. And the full art is just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at the moon. So beautiful. All right, we're going to hold off on opening the next pack for a bit, and we're going to introduce the subjects of today. That's why I moved the cards around. The subjects of today are Cori Steel Cutter, because it is the most recent card to come out that just got banned. It's only been out since Tart Here came out in, what, February or March? So you're looking at maybe 4 months in the game, maybe? And it's already been hit. And the other card we're going to be discussing in terms of bans and such is the One Ring. Now, reason I'm bringing both these cards in, multiple reasons. First off, I think they're really comparable to each other in terms of power. Um, both these cards basically broke formats that they went into. Cori Steel Cutter is essentially destroying standard from what I've read and what I've seen. Um, I remember the recent tournament that I seen being played on YouTube. I believe like every deck was either an Is It deck or a mono red deck running Cori Steel Cutter. So I mean, at that point, yeah, it's an issue for sure. I'm not saying it's not. Um, the same thing could be said of the One Ring in Modern. The One Ring in Modern was an issue for quite a while, and people were calling for bans on both of these, from what I've read and what I've heard. Now, as I've already expressed my personal thing, I don't like bans. I don't want to see cards banned. My thing is playtest cards better before you print them and make sure that they don't interact in your game in such a way that it's going to destroy the game. If it does, don't print the bloody card. That's where I come from on gameplay building. Um, and the reason for that is simply, and I've put this out there before, but there's a lot of new people to the channel. And I know this is going to sound kind of silly, but I'm a very empathetic person. Like I really think about other people's feelings and I'm really concerned about like the environment and my pug. I'm always worried about how he's doing and I don't like leaving him at home alone, for example, very much unless I absolutely have no choice. Things of that nature. Like I'm a very emotional guy. What can I say? But when it comes to cards, I've always had this perspective that imagine if you exist, and the sole reason I'm going to pause this because the phone is ringing and I don't want to get the answering machine on the recording. So I'll be right back 1 second. Ah, da, 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 da. Okay, we're back. Apparently it was just an answering, just a hang up. I'm assuming it was probably a telemarketer or something. Calling people on a holiday if you're a telemarketer, boo on you. I'm sorry. Boo on you. I appreciate that you have a job to do, but at the same time, holidays are times where you just leave people alone. I'm all for you bugging me the day before a holiday, the day after a holiday. I don't really care if you're bugging me in the middle of a meal. I'm not going to get on your case. But holidays, give everybody the day off, even the people who are telemarketers. Give them the day off, give them a little bit of cash, let them have a nice day. That's my opinion, for what it's worth. To pull a line off Jim Cornette. um, but anyways, going back to this, what was I saying? So, comparatively, I think these two cards have a lot in common with regards to why I'm introducing them. I feel like you can definitely see similarities in the response from the community, in response from the power level of the cards. Oh, that's what I was saying. Yeah. If you playtest a card and it is going to break your format, yeah, don't make the card. Because, in my opinion, thinking about it from the perspective of the card, that's what I was saying. Imagine if you were created for the sole purpose of entertainment and joy in being part of um, a magical game that everybody loves. And then imagine that because you were designed without enough thought put into it ahead of time with regards to how you would impact that game, everybody decides they hate you and they reject you, and ultimately they call for you to be eliminated from the game. And then for the rest of your existence, you just basically spend your life in a piece of plastic on a shelf or in a binder. Like, it just. I know that sounds dumb, but it honestly just feels wrong for you to do that to a playing piece. If it was designed for the game and the game is still in existence and people are still playing the game, they should be able to play with that piece. That's where I come from on bans, and that's where I've always come from on bans. Um, I've always been against bans since I was a Yu-Gi-Oh player. Like, I just do not like banning cards because I think that if people put more effort into creating the cards and designing the cards effectively ahead of time, there'd be no need for anything to ever be banned. That's where I'm coming from. Anyways, setting that aside, that is not the actual issue I wish to discuss today in this video. What I want to discuss actually is the timing of bans with regards to magic cards versus Universes Beyond cards, which are technically still magic cards, but you will also find a lot of people who will claim that they really aren't the same as magic cards, and there's lots of people who don't want to play with Universes Beyond cards in their game, whether it be in Modern, in Standard, in Commander, whatever. They just don't like Universes Beyond. And um, in some respects, I get that. For example, I think the idea of putting SpongeBob into Magic is ludicrous, in my personal opinion. But I mean, there's a lot of people who are really happy with that. There's a lot of people who are really happy with the fact that Sonic the Hedgehog is coming into Magic. I mean, personally, if you're going to do a video game character, I would have brought in Link and Zelda long before I would have brought in Sonic. But that's just my opinion. Like, but again, like, I mean, I don't really want video game characters in Magic. I don't really think that that's right to bring that format into the game. The same way Warhammer was one of the more popular ones that everybody loved, but I mean, I'm personally not a huge fan of the idea of Warhammer being part of Magic because Warhammer is its own game. Versus certain IPs that I love that came into this, like Lord of the Rings, obviously. And I'm been shouting out the praises for Avatar since it was announced, and I'm looking forward still and very psyched to buy as much Avatar as I can possibly afford when it hits the shelves and during the pre-release or pre-sales. I have every intention of buying as many of the commander decks as I can afford that actually look good. Probably going to get an entire box of play boosters, might even pick up some collector boosters. Like, I'm really saving up because that is the set that I want to really get into, and I think that's the set that's really going to boost the crap out of this channel, which is going to be awesome when that happens. And I'm looking forward to growing this community to new heights with you guys. But anyways, so getting back on topic, you can tell I have ADHD. I'm just going to take this camera over here for a second. Whoop, there goes my mic. Still recording my mic? Still recording my mic? I think we're good. But let's just double check and make sure. OBS? Yes, okay, mic is still good. Thank you, Mr. X Mic. Yes, I named my microphone Mr. X Mic. In terms of bands, we've got Cori Steel Cutter over here, which was banned June 30th, 2025, and was printed also in 2025. And like I said, I think this came out February, March area, is Dragons of Tarkir, if I remember correctly. Somebody can give me the exact date that Dragons of Tarkir came out in the comments if they want, but I think it was definitely sometime February, March this year. Because Aether Drift was first, and that was January, and I'm pretty sure Tarkir had their Aether Drift had like at least a month before Tarkir came out. With regards to the One Ring, the One Ring was banned officially from Modern December 16th, 2024, and it came out in 2023, and I went ahead and I Googled that, and the set for Lord of the Rings debuted in June of 2023. So basically, the One Ring was in Modern, and people hated it in Modern the pretty much the entire time it was there for a year and a half versus 3 months, let's say, possibly four, if we're being generous. 3 to 4 months. Holy crap. Mike went out partway through my analogy. Damn. I'm not sure what you missed and what you got. Okay, well, quick recap. I was trying to say that Magic sets have really taken a nosedive this year in terms of not being really Magic. We had race cars, we had outer space. Basically, we had one Magic set that was really in-house Magic, if you want to put a term to it. Um, and that was Dragons of Tarkir. And Dragons of Tarkir had some really cool cards, and one of those really cool cards is Cori Steel Cutter, and Cori Steel Cutter broke a format and now it's banned. And the point that I'm trying to make is if Cori Steel Cutter had been in a Lord of the Rings like set, let's say it came out in Final Fantasy instead of coming out in Dragons of Tarkir, my feeling is this wouldn't have been banned. My feeling is because of the value that Wizards of the Coast is getting from the outside IPs, paying them to essentially be like Wizards pays for the rights to use the IP, but then Wizards also needs to make money back and honor that IP. And I think as a part of that process, that cards for Universes Beyond sets kind of get sort of like an extra grace period, let's call it, compared to other cards. So my feeling is if Cori Steel Cutter had been named something else and it came out of Final Fantasy instead of coming out of Dragons of Tarkir, that this card would not have gotten banned out of Standard. I think it would have rotated out of Standard, which is, as I say, the impression I either get out of this or it just never made it into Standard because Lord of the Rings set never made it in. Which, if it never made it in, that doesn't really defeat my argument because it definitely made it into Modern and it was a problem in Modern the entire time. I'm not saying either of these cards are not problematic. They're both very problematic. I run this in one of my most devastating commander decks because as much as I would think it fits more flavorfully into one of my Lord of the Rings decks, I really just don't want to run it in Lord of the Rings. It's too powerful for any of those Lord of the Rings decks, and it would just boost them to a point where I wouldn't be able to play them in the brackets that I want to play them in. I run this deck in the one combo deck that I've built that actually focuses on trying to win by combo, not by battle with a combo thrown in there as just kind of like an extra possible win con. The deck that the Lord of the Rings, the One Ring is in right now is a deck that is totally designed around getting 2 to 3 cards on board to get an infinite loop of life gain, life loss going. And that is the whole purpose of the deck. It's built around that purpose, and the reason the One Ring is in there is specifically to try and help me get to those cards faster. Because in theory, if I can combo off by turn 5, I've done really well with that deck. Typically, it takes me to turn 8 or turn 9 because I have to find the cards I need, but if I can get it done early, I get it done early, and the One Ring definitely helps with that. So again, like I can see why both these cards are crazy powerful. OP for sure. And definitely format breaking. But my argument is that this, if this wasn't a Universes Beyond card, would have got banned much faster in Modern than it did. And likewise, if this was a Universes Beyond card, I think it would have made it through the rotation of Standard, or at least at the very least, it would have made it to the next ban. It wouldn't have got hit this time around. It would have got hit probably. My understanding is the next ban is coming out in 9 months or something like that. So that would put us. We're in July now. So that would put us somewhere in the neighborhood of April next year, March or April next year. So I mean, like, I have a feeling that this card would have remained in the format, and it would have been a troublesome card, and people would have been really upset about it being in the format. I understand why so many people are happy that it's gone. And honestly, if it makes the format better, as I said earlier, fine, let it slide. I mean, I don't like bans, but they've printed it and they screwed up the game, and this is the only way that the game can be fixed, then so be it. Um, but it just doesn't feel. It doesn't feel like the game is being treated with the respect it deserves. Is ultimately the point I'm trying to make. I feel like Magic the Gathering players, the community as a whole, and I'm talking about the core players who have been there from the beginning who really love the game. Not me. I came in because of the Lord of the Rings. I played this game a little bit in university for like a year, year and a half. At that time, I was playing Modern and Standard and things like that. And like, I think my decks were all vampire based at that time because of the era that I came in. But like, honestly, this isn't right per se. To give such preference to Universes Beyond cards and to basically crap all over the actual Magic sets the way they've been this year. This is just another example of that, in my opinion. Um, it's the same thing as, like I said, like you've got all the sets that came out this year, and Dragonstorm of Turkey or Dragonstorm is basically the only one that is real Magic. Space set, we're going to have a whole bunch of spaceships and things floating around and stuff, and is that real Magic? Not really. Race cars, is that really real Magic? Not really. And I mean, they've been doing this for the last 2 years. Like we had like murders at whatever manor. We had the Outlaws of Thunder Junction, like most of the sets that they've made in the last couple of years have really just been like flavor fails on a huge level, first off, and second off, just haven't felt like in-universe Magic cards. And it sucks because it looks like the game is dying in a lot of ways. Um, I saw a video earlier today. I'm just going to set these aside and get a fresh pack ready because I think we're going to end with a second pack opening. But I saw a video earlier today from, I always forget his name. I always forget his damn name. Kenobi something or another. He has a, he's the British guy who has a Magic YouTube channel. Let's see if I can find him real fast in my YouTube. I gotta go to my history to get to his channel. History, history, history. Where's my history? Maybe I have to go back to the original YouTube first. Get off my channel. Ba, 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 ba. Trying to get back to there so I can get the right name because I always hate it when I shout out the wrong names at people. And now I went too far. So annoying. What do you mean Bing? Just go to YouTube. Stop being silly. History. Cha 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 cha. Sorry, guys. I honestly forgot the name, and it's going to drive me nuts if I don't include it. Pleasant Kenobi. There we go. For the love of goodness. Okay, so I saw a video from Pleasant Kenobi about fixing your relationship with magic today, and he touched a lot on the bans to a certain extent in that video, not so much. He did it in another video, but his video really kind of hit home for me in regards to magic just not feeling like magic a lot anymore. His solution is to go dive into cube, which is a pretty neat idea. My solution is to just engage with the sets that I'm actually interested in and ignore the sets that I'm not, which is why I'm only grabbing a few packs of the space set to do our new set versus old set. Um, I didn't even grab Final Fantasy for that because Final Fantasy was just A, way too expensive, and B, something that I was worried if I got a little bit into, I was going to get way into, and I can't afford to do that if I want to get way into Avatar later in the year. And I mean, again, that's another thing. Like, people are being forced to pick what things they want to invest in, what things they don't, and Magic wasn't like that before. Like, you only had 3 or 4 sets a year before, and you were able to invest in all the different sets. Now they have so many sets coming out, there's no way you can keep up with it financially unless you're pretty well off, which I definitely am not. So, um, with regards to that, I think that's basically all I had in terms of my argument. I just, and I would love to hear what you guys think about it, but I just really feel that Universes Beyond is getting way too much grace and um attention from Wizards of the Coast because that's what they're making their money on. And I mentioned it in another video or possibly in my live stream the other day, but I really feel like what Wizards should have done from the get-go, and it's too late to do it now, obviously, the toothpaste is out of the tube at this point, but they should have introduced Universes Beyond as its own game with It could have had the exact same rules as Magic and everything else, but it should have been its own version of a game called Universes Beyond. And they could have had their own packs, and Magic might have still ended up dying, but I have a feeling that Magic would have actually been a lot stronger if they had done that, and Universes Beyond would have thrived, and they would have made a ton more money than they have overall. That's where I actually am coming from, to be honest. I think they did a major marketing fail on this with regards to bringing it into Magic instead of keeping it separate but equal to Magic. Um, and then, I mean, if player created formats happened where they took Universes Beyond cards and moved them into Magic, that would be different. But I mean, at that point, that would be the players deciding to do it, not being forced into it by the corporation. So yeah, that's where I am at with regards to this recent ban. I saw that and I felt really bad with respect to people who enjoy playing Cori Steel Cutter because they got so little time with it compared to people who enjoyed playing with the One Ring. I mean, it's still legal in Commander. Both those cards are, as far as I'm aware, and will continue to be for a while, I'm hoping, because Commander is way more of a loose and fun format, in my opinion. Um, should both these cards be game changers? Probably. I could definitely see putting both of them on the game changers list, and I wouldn't argue with that. But outright banning them, yeah, I'm not for that. And I'm not for what happened to Corey Steelcutter this time around. I really think it should have been left to the next round of bans. And maybe something more interesting would have came along in Avatar or in Eternity's Edge of Eternities that would have made a difference. And maybe someone would end up with a deck that could compete in standard against Corey Steelcutter and its advantages. But it is what it is, and that's where I'm going to leave it with you guys. I'm just going to open a second pack of Unfinity. I was thinking about doing 3, but I'm going to leave it with 2, I think, today. We hit a major hit on the first one, and I don't think we're going to be able to top it. If we get 2 of those today, I am going to lose my mind. Actually, before we open this pack, yeah. Okay. I bumped the microphone and turned it off. Again. I eventually want to do a tech review of this microphone, and this microphone is going to get a very solid mixed review for me because mainly of the damn way that it disconnects frequently on its own super easily. I don't like that. Or how easily you can mute it by accident. Cute little puggy having a nap. Looks at me and says, "Fuck off, Dad." Alright, we'll open this pack and then I have one more video I want to shoot today. And then I got some cleaning up to do. And I gotta get to bed super early because Wednesday, my company decides since we get today off, and since the US does not, that we get to do all the work from today and tomorrow, which means extra money, but also really, really long day at work tomorrow. So, yeah, not looking forward to that. Alright, we got another season button here. Well, that's alright, that's alright. And another impounding lot bot. Dissatisfied customer. There's our first new one for today, or for this pack. Flying Haste. Enters the battlefield, roll a 6-sided die. If the result is 3 or less, you lose that much life. Not my favorite vampire by any means. The sticker, or the Blankosaurus, which I like to call the Stickerosaurus. Trample 3/3. You can put a name sticker on this thing when it comes into play, and it gets +1/+1 counter for each vowel that's unique in that name. Not terrible, not great. Blob Brian Buddy. 1 green for a 1/1 with trample, and pay green, tap, you get a ticket. That is solid. That is a big hit for me and the deck I want to build. Art appreciation. One in a green, or one in a green, one in a red. Starting to go colorblind, apparently. No, I'm just kidding. Put an art sticker on a non-land permanent you own, then ask a person outside of the game to rate the new art on a scale from 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. When they rate the art up to that many target creatures can't block this turn. Okay, so if I put a sticker on this, and it's now super cool and chic, and it gets a 4, 4 creatures can't block this turn. That's ridiculous, but it's cool. I like it. Another acorn, decisions. 3 in a blue, reveal the top 3 cards in your library, choose a consonant, which they'll let you choose Y for this. Put each card that has the chosen letter in the first word of its name from among them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. To be or not to be. Interesting flavor text. With capital B's. Ooh, legendary. Roxy Publicist. We've pulled her a bunch of times already at this point. She's nice. Not my favorite of the legendaries in this set, though, but I will still set you aside for the legendary status that you bring. Ticking Mind Bomb is a cute one. We've pulled this too. Without speaking or indicating any specific creature, you have to pantomime to a person outside the game, and they have to pick a creature you don't control. And then this thing deals damage equal to twice the number of robots you control to that creature when it enters the battlefield. That is pretty ridiculous, but also hilarious. Park Bleeder. Bah. 2 and a white. Whenever another creature you own enters the battlefield, you get a ticket. Nice. Pay white and tap. Put a sticker on a creature you own that entered the battlefield this turn. Nice. That is very useful. Go to the top. Greatest show in the multiverse. We pulled this the other day. I really like the art on this card. That's definitely for sure cute artwork on this one. But aside from that, it sucks that it's an acorn card. As an additional cost cast a spell, you exile 5 instant or sorcery cards you own with the same artist and different names from outside the game. And then you pick one of those cards at random each time that this thing goes up a lore counter, and you get to play that without paying its mana cost, which is pretty neat. We got our regular swamp. I'll just go underneath of this. And we got the Pick a Beeble. That's a disappointing one. We've already pulled that a bunch of times. Ooh, Haunted House is a new one, though. Visit return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of your next end step. Not sure how much I like that, but at least it's a new one. Ooh, we pulled the Stormcrow. Nice. I like the jersey. And I think that's a new one. Trained Blessed Mind. Exile target card from a graveyard. As long as 7 or more cards are in your graveyard, this creature gets +4/+0 and has trample. I'm pretty sure that's a new one. Nice. All right. Pretty solid haul today in this response video. Um, Definitely, if you guys only tune in for when I do pack openings and you don't pay attention to response videos, you are missing out because you missed a huge hit today if you didn't catch it. Gonna just bring this in for the final shot, and I will leave you guys with that. Please let me know in the comments what you think of my thoughts on the ban, and whether you agree or disagree with regards to how Wizards of the Coast is treating Universes Beyond versus their original flavored in-house IP, and the player base. That's all I got. Yeah. Much love to you all from me, and Kaiba to you. Take care. Hope you guys enjoy your Tuesday, and for those of you who are off, happy Canada one more time. Bye!